Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar on molecular diagnostics and point of care testing presented by Ravi Kiran Bodlapati, Healthcare and Life Science Market Research Director at the Business Research Company. Today, we'll be exploring the latest trends, market opportunities, and innovations shaping molecular diagnostics, as well as the growing impact of POC testing in healthcare delivery. Over to you, Ravi, sir.
Thank you all for participating in this webinar today. So in this presentation, we try to uh, understand the market for molecular diagnostics, key trends, and the key strategies that major players are employing within the molecular diagnostic space, and how we're touching upon point of care molecular diagnostics where possible, and what companies are uh, strategizing with respect to POC and the market trends with respect to POC molecular diagnostics as well. So here we define molecular diagnostics as a type of in vitro diagnostic method which analyzes the molecular information, specifically the nucleic acids and proteins in patient samples such as blood, saliva, or tumor tissue to detect or even prognose genetic predispositions. Uh, where and we define point of care molecular diagnostics as the molecular diagnostic based tests or based products which help testing at the point of site or point of care. Yeah, it is very portable and they provide the convenience of laboratory quality testing without requiring formal lab infrastructure. The key advantage that these MDX products allow is uh, uh, real-time monitoring of treatment response or multiplex testing, and also some most of the traditional diagnostic methods, for example, specifically for microbiology tests or for infectious diseases, the turnaround time of the test is large, and some of the tests even take 24 to 48 hours based on the type of the microorganism. And molecular diagnostics help in a quicker turnaround time and can detect even hard to culture microorganisms directly from patient samples. And they enable multiplex testing and identification of genetic markers. The market for global molecular diagnostics is around 30 billion in 2025, and the market has grown from around 18 billion to 27 billion until 2024, or from past 5 years, with a growth rate of around 11%. Generally, the molecular diagnostics market is around 20% or a quarter of total in vitro diagnostics market. And while in vitro diagnostics market has grown at around 6.5%, and molecular diagnostics market has grown around 11%. So that this is the major reason why most companies are focusing or developing products with respect to MDX or molecular diagnostics, as these products are destined to grow faster and untap large market. While in the forecast, the market is expected to grow in a similar growth rate of around 10%, 9 to 10%, where IVD is expected to grow around 5 to 6%. The key drivers driving the market include increasing prevalence of cancer or infectious diseases, where these molecular diagnostics are most used, advances in cutting edge technologies, and development of novel testing methods for various agents which are otherwise tested using normal biochemical or microbiological traditional methods, and growing demand for personal medicine and oncology, precision oncology, and global screening initiatives by public and private organisms. And after post-COVID, many governments across the regions are driving public health campaigns for infectious diseases, and some of the countries are even trying are implementing to use MDX technologies to test various infectious diseases. So these are the key drivers driving the MDX market. When we try to understand the size of point of care molecular diagnostic market, when we say molecular diagnostics market is around a quarter of total IVD market, the POC MDX market is around 12 to 15% of the molecular diagnostics market. So the market is around 3.5 billion in 2024, and the market is estimated to grow more than MDX market. The POC MDX market is estimated to grow around 14 to 15%, slightly faster than molecular diagnostics market. The key factors driving point of care molecular diagnostics market include one, faster diagnosis and treatment decisions, because these point of care molecular diagnostic devices are portable, small size, and can easily be adapted to emergency rooms or patient site care. So need for rapid, accurate testing at patient interface is one of the major driver. And most companies are developing miniature and portable, smaller POC MDX systems suited for various types of clinical rooms, emergency rooms, and increase of infectious disease burden. Most of the POC devices are being used to test COVID, respiratory diseases, or other infectious diseases that is driving the market or development of these POC devices. Antimicrobial stewardship is one other important driver for the use of POC devices, where these devices help in targeted antibiotic use through identification of pathogens and markers in a faster turnaround time at the patient site of care. However, there are few reimbursement challenges, but as governments are trying to, payers across the governments are trying to cover POC testing, so this will drive the adoption of POC MDX market. Uh, and also POC MDX devices help in cost savings and reduce hospital stays. When we try to analyze the molecular diagnostics market by region, North America definitely accounts for the large share of around 40% of the market, mainly due to the advanced healthcare systems and high adoption of innovative technologies such as PCR or next generation sequencing. And most important factor is favorable reimbursement process by both public and private payers in North America. Europe follows North America with around 30% share, specifically because of increasing healthcare expenditure and collaborative efforts between academics and hospitals. And of course, a favorable reimbursement landscape in UK, Germany, and other European countries as well. APAC, though having a share of around 20% in 2024, it is expected to grow faster than the US or Europe, specifically because of high investments in diagnosis and increased use of MDX testing in this region. Additionally, the prevalence, incidence and prevalence of infectious and genetic disorders in the APAC region is also driving the demand for MDX. Rest of the world holds the market, and of course, some regions with high prevalence of cancers and genetic diseases such as Middle East and North Africa is also a significant market for MDX. Let's try to understand the share of the type of the diseases that are being tested by molecular diagnostics products. So as of now, around of all the tests that are being conducted, around 60% of the tests are conducted for infectious diseases, specifically MDX tests for respiratory infections and other malaria, influenza, and other sexually transmitted infections. MDX are increasingly used to identify antibiotic resistant strains as well, helping in giving critical insights for effective treatment. Oncology diagnosis follows the infectious diseases with around 20 to 25% of the market share. Specifically, molecular diagnostics are useful to find not only to find exact genetic mutation leading to oncology, such as uh, BRCA1 and BRCA2 for breast, ovarian, or HER2 genes, but it also helps to understand predisposition or prognosis or effective treatment of cancer cases as well. So molecular diagnostics is playing a vital role to for the therapeutic management of various cancers. Around 10 to 15% of these tests are being conducted for prenatal testing, prenatal screening for chromosomal abnormalities such as trisomy, Down syndrome, and others. However, increasing research is being conducted to use or to develop molecular testing for metabolic disorders, uh, phenylketonuria, predisposition to diabetes, etc. Molecular diagnostics also plays a vital role in pharmacogenetics, and pharmaceutical companies are using these tests to understand the treatment regime or developing new novel medications for certain uh, treatment population or for specific disease target population. Though molecular diagnostics are used more, or uh, currently the commercialized molecular diagnostics are more for infectious diseases and oncology, uh, several companies are doing research and developing MDX tests for diseases such as neurological disorders, Alzheimer's, and other neurological disorders. Various other types, not only for breast or lung cancer, other types of cancer such as multiple myeloma, other infectious diseases, and increasingly much research is being conducted for pediatric TB or pediatric diseases, and mostly on women's health. Many panels, test panels, or MDX products are being researched or being developed for women's health or contagious viral infections. And most of the companies are developing a panel of tests, not only a single test, but a panel or syndromic panel of tests to be used for multiple diseases, uh, multiplexing using multiplexing technology. So major technologies. So molecular diagnostics are a type of in vitro diagnostic products and that test molecular information, nucleic acids, DNA, RNA, and some protein. But what technologies do those products or do those us? So when we analyze the molecular diagnostics, 60% of molecular diagnostic products are based on PCR technology. And of course, variants of PCR, such as real-time PCR, qPCR, and other variants of PCR, for example, Abbott, BD, and Danaher, have all MDX products based on PCR technology. And around next generation sequencing is also advancing in infectious diseases, diagnostics, and oncology due to its comprehensive genomic analysis. Illumina, Oxford, Nanopore, PacBio, Ion Torrent, and other companies are developing uh, NGS-based, next generation sequencing-based molecular diagnostic technologies. And some of the other technologies that are being used include microarrays, mass spectroscopy, or even the innovative CRISPR-Cas-based technology, which is being developed by Sherlock for uh, COVID testing. And other companies are also using CRISPR technology or appending this CRISPR with other PCR or other technology to develop novel products. And some 10% of the market include the MDX products which use um, uh, NAT technologies or non-PCR based amplification technologies. Let's try to understand the market in terms of the revenue generated by equipment, reagent, or consumables and various services by these companies who offer these molecular diagnostic products. So 70% of the revenue is constituted by consumables because uh, these consumables are used in every test and they are continuous and driving constant demand. 25% of the market is for the equipment because these are one-time purchases with a little long life cycle and high cost. And around 5 to 10% of the market is constituted by various services and software provided by these equipment manufacturers. And all the companies are employing various strategies to generate more recurring revenue by focusing more on the consumables and reagents rather than the instrument. And even there are many financing models uh, uh, or uh, procurement models where the instruments are provided free of cost to end users, and the companies are charging per test or per consumable. So there are various leasing or financing options that these companies, major companies such as Roche, Abbott, Illumina, or companies are providing to the end users to uh, provide instrument in a very low cost or even free of cost to the end users, and then charge on the based of the number of tests they conduct or the number of or consumables that they use, so that these companies can generate recurring revenue from the end users. So these are some of the trends in molecular diagnostic companies. what most of the companies involved in the market, for example, Caregen and Biomedics, are using microfluidics and lab-on-chip, integrating microfluidics and lab-on-chip in their current platform for increased automation and sensitivity. And companies such as Roche and Diacerin are using multiplexing, where it can test multiple pathogens or multiple genetic markers from a single sample. Whereas some companies are developing epigenetic or methylation-based tests, such as Illumina and Caregen. Of course, most of the companies are even focusing on point of care and portable diagnostics, which are user-friendly and could be used outside traditional lab settings. And as artificial intelligence and machine learning to enhance molecular diagnostics, most companies are using AI or ML in their current platforms or integrating the current workflows or to increase their test sensitivity and to generate results quickly. So let's understand the type of the major MDX and point of care MDX products and what are the key strategies of major companies in the molecular diagnostic space. For example, in each of the company has one reputed or a major brand of molecular diagnostics product or platform used by the end user. Cepheid has gene expert system, and it is developing a point of care, or it has point of care molecular diagnostics as well. And it is working on to develop multiplex test panels and next generation diagnostic platform. The CFED is mostly positioned or reputed based PCR for infectious diseases, and it has a broad menu of testing pathogens and trusted performance globally. However, a weakness is high cost and limited portability, and opportunities to scale with pricing late and lighter systems. And Abbott even is positioned as an ultra-fast isothermal point-of-care molecular diagnostic platform, and it provides rapid results and minimal training required. Weakness is single target and limited multiplexing, where the opportunity lies in expanding the current panels that Abbott has in the infectious disease testing and enhancing connectivity. Roche, one of the major player, it is very reputed for COBAS systems, COBAS layered PCR-based systems, and it is positioned as a company which is a lab-grade PCR at point of care site, and its strengths are high performance and strong brand reach, whereas weakness or as it presumed by the consumers is high cost of the reagents and equipment. So the purpose of these slides is to uh, give a summary that most of the companies has reputed molecular diagnostics and point of care molecular diagnostic platforms, and all are working on a novel pathogen testing, multiplexing tool, or increasing their uh, assays and developing more tests for the other infectious diseases, or expanding their tests to other rapid point of care assays. And most companies are positioned, for example, Hologic is positioned as a high throughput molecular lab platform, and it can be automated and scalable. However, weakness is not suited as a portable POC, whereas Coagen is reputed for syndromic multiplex PCR panels. So each company has a reputed platform where it is positioned and has a strength, either it is scalable or multiplexing or could be automated. However, there are few weakness, or there is an opportunity for these companies to penetrate much or gain more market share by strategies such as expanding multiplex panels, or reduce costs, or targeting specific workflow segments like urgent care or emergency care, or clinical diagnostic labs. So, targeting specific workflow within the testing, clinical testing, these companies could strategize or strategizing to gain more market share. So, the same information we put in a heat map to see with assessed the major parameters such as turnaround time, throughput, diagnostic portfolio, automation, and price. And across these five major parameters, we try to assess the capability of these major molecular diagnostic companies. For example, one five is the higher or good quality parameter, and being the lowest in the scale. So Roche excels in throughput, diagnostic portfolio, and automation, whereas Thermo Fisher excels in automation and diagnostic portfolio. Hologic is reputed for throughput and automation. So some of the companies are reputed for strong house trends in throughput diagnostic portfolio, where some of the companies such as Cagen uh, have a comparatively lower price from reagents and have price as one of their major strength. Mm. So we try to compare the capabilities of the major players, the products of the major players with respect to point of care molecular diagnostics as well. And if you see Cepheid is strong in faster turnaround time in the broad diagnostic portfolio, whereas Abbott excels in fast turnaround and full automation. Whereas Roche provides lab quality accuracy at point of care, balancing turnaround and throughput. Whereas few new players such as Q Health and Lucira Misa Biotech are also good, have strength in automation. So let's try to understand the market opportunities in terms of molecular diagnostics, comparing the developed and emerging markets. So the key opportunities in developed countries include established infrastructure and favorable reimbursement policies. Of course, increase in funding for research and development, and improved testing, prenatal testing and fetal testing. Of course, I'm not going to very details, but touching upon the key opportunities in developing countries, one, improvements in healthcare infrastructure. Most companies are post-COVID, most companies most governments in emerging markets are trying to improve diagnostic and healthcare infrastructure and funding to establish various molecular diagnostic labs. And rapid growth in investment by these molecular diagnostic companies as well in the emerging economies. And as I mentioned, government initiatives for mass screening or public health screening using these MDX technologies is one of the driver in developing countries. Moving on to understand the challenges in the developed and developing countries. In the developed countries, the key challenges are uncertainties in regulations, specifically, for example, IVDR regulations in the Europe. We will discuss in the next slides. And sensitive genetic and health data. So one of the next generation sequencing technology has the patient genetic information. So protecting sensitive genetic and healthcare data, complying with the data protection regulations is also a challenge across the developed countries. Whereas in the developing countries, the key challenges are high cost of equipment and reagents and unfavorable reimbursement. Of course, there are less harmonization or lack of quality and standardization in molecular testing regulations landscape. But however, the major challenges are unfavorable reimbursement and high cost of equipment and reagents. So until now, we discussed on the market size, market trends, and key players in the market and what are the strategies employed by the key players. Let's move on to regulatory landscape with respect to molecular diagnostics. So each country has a major regulatory body and any specific authority that deals with these molecular diagnostics. For example, FDA governs, FDA, the regulatory body in the US, and CDHR, they govern the molecular diagnostic devices. So each country has a specific classification based on the complexity of the device, and molecular diagnostic devices are classified as 2 or class 3 in the US, class 2 for real-time PCR, multiplex systems, and for rapid detection of TB, whereas class 3 has next generation sequencing based testing and oncology testing panels. And class 2 is less severe, and class 2 is more complex with respect to 510K or pre-market notification clearance is needed for class 2 or moderate to high risk, whereas pre-market approval PMA is needed for class 3 and high risk devices. UK also has a similar classification in the annexure to list A and list B. List A including PCR testing for HBV, HCV, and then list B including the qPCR for hereditary congenital infections and others. The regulatory body is the MHRA for the UK, and the UK registration approval is needed. UKCA previously it is CE marking would be enough, but now UK has UKCA and other regulations for Europe as well. So in Europe also the MDX devices are classified either into Class C or Class D, and CE marking is needed for both Class B, C, D. So one of the major change in the regulations for the Europe is transforming from IVDD to IVDR. So previously, the Europe has IVDD as a regulatory approval process, and that is changed, or that is changed to IVDR. And now the companies which are prior complied to IVDD has to gain reapproval or recertify using notified bodies to change IVDR regulations. So IVDR regulations has more complying rules with respect to safety, with respect to efficacy, and all the companies which have earlier registered with IVDD has to recertify with certified notified bodies and all their devices. So there is a time period which is provided according to the IVDR regulation from May 26, 2024 to 28 based on the class of device, class D, class C. So this is one major change in regulations where most of the molecular diagnostic companies have to reassess their portfolio and start recertifying their molecular diagnostic devices with using notified body support. So yeah, in a nutshell, every country has a major regulatory body, and the molecular diagnostic devices are either classified as Class A, B, or C, D based on their level of complexity, and registration process has to comply whether it is device listing or registration or pre-market approval based on the type of the device, molecular diagnostic device, either less severe or more severe, Class C or Class D. Yes. So one other type of regulations is software as a medical devices. So molecular diagnostic products using the software and some of the molecular diagnostic products which fall into SCMD, MDX category. Various countries have drafted regulations, and of course, most of the emerging countries are still in process of drafting the regulatory frameworks for CMD devices. But the key aspects that the companies already having the standards for SAMD include the implementation of quality management system or clinical validation requirements and conformity assessment in to the safety and efficacy. Yes, so in the regulatory landscape, let's see the reimbursement scenario of molecular diagnostic products across various countries. Uh, the reimbursement landscape is favorable in the USA with both public and private payers reimbursed for the molecular diagnostic devices. There is a clear criteria set in the US based on the MolDX program, and there are specific reimbursement codes that are being used for these molecular diagnostic tests. UK also the reimbursement is favorable by both NHS as well as private payers. There is criteria and there are HRG or DRG codes and specific procedure codes that are being used for reimbursement. Germany also has a favorable reimbursement by both public as well as private payers, and the tests performed by or according to the codes, OPCS code or HRG or DRG codes. Of course, both in the most of the European countries, like NICE in the UK and the authority in the Germany are focusing on benefit or efficacy for the patient. So clinical effectiveness is one factor that these authorities assess before approving for reimbursement for the molecular diagnostics. Let's see how the reimbursement scenario for the emerging countries in the next slide. So Japan, of course, it's favorable reimbursement, at least though there is some copay. Reimbursement is favorable for most of the diagnostics tests, whereas China, the coverage is limited, and prices of the tests are even influenced by the government. And India also, the coverage is limited only to private payers for specific molecular diagnostic tests. So, as these test equipment and reagents are high cost, the price per test is also very high. So if you see in the US, the prices are market prices where prices are set by manufacturers and no influence on the of the government. UK prices are negotiated between manufacturers and NHS. There is some influence of prices by the government. Germany also, there are negotiations between manufacturers and payers. Japan prices are reviewed and adjusted every 2 years, and there is prices are impacted or influenced by the government. Whereas China, the prices are based on tendering process that considers various factors, and provincial and municipal governments may also impose additional price control. In India, there is a national pharmaceutical pricing authority that regulate the prices. Of course, there's no comprehensive pricing framework specifically for molecular diagnostic devices as of now in India. So when we move on to next last phase, what we see most of the companies in molecular diagnostic space are strategizing on mergers and acquisitions. The major players are acquiring the other minor companies to acquire a specific technology or to improve their position in a novel disease testing area. For example, Biorad in 2025, Biorad has acquired Stella to expand its digital PCR portfolio, and even US-based NeoGenomics acquired Pathline to expand its presence in Northeast USA and enhancing molecular hematology-based oncology testing capabilities. When Hitachi High-Tech Group and Gencurix have formed a strategic partnership on cancer molecular diagnostics. So Japan-based Sysmex has partnered with Pageant to strengthen collaboration in companion diagnostics and liquid biopsy. And Thermo Fisher and Biomerics, so all the major players are strategizing on either partnering or acquiring other companies to expand their testing portfolio. Yes, these are all some additional examples of the partnerships. Even Roche has also acquired Lumira DX for point of care testing technology. So when we come to last section of the presentation, what are the strategies employed by these molecular diagnostic companies, the companies that provide products or solutions for molecular diagnostic testing? One, definitely most of the companies are investing in comprehensive training programs for healthcare providers and other clinical diagnostic laboratories for effective use of molecular diagnostics. Strategic partnerships and collaborations. Most of the companies are partnering with hospitals and clinics to drive the adoption of molecular diagnostic, including co-developing new tests and how to DX tests to their current el- electronic healthcare records or EHR systems. And all the companies are entering into emerging markets by establishing two new manufacturing bases or uh, and also decreasing the prices of their molecular diagnostic products based on the emerging market. Competitive pricing strategies are employed by most companies. As I mentioned, most of the companies offer flexible leasing and rental models where they offer equipment in a very discounted price or even free of cost, and they charge per test or based on the volume of the reagents that the end users consume. Next slide, please. Yeah. So one major trend is the development of portable, small, easy to use point of care molecular diagnostic tests by most of the companies. So they are developing small point of care tests to use at the patient site of care. And most of the companies are using advanced technologies such as microchips, fluidics, or even lab on chips and the CRISPR-Cas based platforms and NGS based platforms. So integrating advanced technologies, not only PCR, but PCR combined with CRISPR-Cas or NGS combined with other isothermal amplification. They are using different technologies for integrated work, and companies are expanding molecular diagnostic test ranges. So most companies are expanding their panel of tests to test multiple pathogens by single sample, or to test a syndrome-based genes. And they are expanding their test portfolio from infectious disease oncology to metabolic diseases. So they are increasing their test portfolio along with multiplexing and increasing the number of genes tested in a panel with single sample. And of course, most of the companies are focusing on integrating with digital health platforms using AI and other advanced data analytics to improve patient management and remote patient management, etc. Yes, so that's it. We have today on molecular and point of care molecular diagnostics. Hope these insights are useful. So any questions any participant has, please free to ask.
Thank you, Ravisa, for this insightful session. We'll now open the floor for questions. Please feel free to ask any questions regarding this webinar, or you can also drop your questions in the chat box.
You can also mail us. Anyone has any questions, you can please uh, email us as well.
Okay, so we have a question. Uh, will the slide be shared after the meeting? Are the insights available in a full report?
Yes, we can share the slides after the meeting, and we can also do an advanced means in-depth study on any specific uh, data point, or to understand on any specific equipment, or yeah, for any specific region. If you want to understand the complete market of molecular diagnostics or point of care molecular diagnostics, market share of company, market share by product and by region. So we have that information, and we can do custom studies as well to give more in-depth information in molecular diagnostic space. Of course, high level information and this presentation can be shared, but always welcome if you have any specific research needs on molecular diagnostics to better understand the market. We can discuss and how to support on any specific data research need that you have.
Thank you so much, Nisha, and also thank you to Sir for this answer. Thank you all for taking your time to join us today. We appreciate your engagement and the thoughtful questions. We hope this session gave you a valuable perspective on molecular diagnostics and POC testing. We look forward to have you in our upcoming webinars.
Thanks for participating in the seminar. Have a good day.